Hey man, I heard you're a tactical shooter. I've been thinking about getting a gun myself. What do you think? What's up, guys? Today we are going to talk about how to field that question. It's a question that I get all the time from all of the extended friends and family members that I have. But it's one that you might get too, because odds are, if you're here, someone in your group of friends or family pegs you as a tactical training ninja, a shooter dork, a gun nerd, a self-defense guru. So let's talk about how we should best field this question. Let's talk about the person that is likely asking us this question. Before we get into that, I want to remind you guys, like, subscribe, hit all the buttons, right? I don't know. Hit all the buttons that do the things that remind you to come watch my stuff. And if you like this channel, you like the stuff that I'm putting out, and you want to help me, go to the link in the description, click the Patreon link, go show me some love there. And do one more. Go to the website, demonstratedconcepts.com, reach out to me, and schedule some training. That's not all 2-day classes that you need to fly for. I do a lot of Zoom training, one-on-one, hour-long sessions that'll help you work through your draw, maybe a deep carry issue. Maybe you want to learn how to shoot that cheek pistol or that bird's head grip shotgun better. All that stuff, we can do a lot of that dry fire in the comfort of your own home over a Zoom call. So, all right, let's dive into it. Dude asks you about gun stuff. Hey, man, I've been thinking about getting a gun. What do you think? How do we field that question? Who is asking us? And I want to just make some assumptions here, some safe assumptions. No matter how proficient this person professes that they are, let's not believe them, right? Oh, I shoot all the time, man. Yeah, I've been shooting since I was a kid, and I'm into it. All right, that may be true to that person, but what they consider shooting all the time, what they consider growing up with guns, is probably vastly different than what you think those things are as someone who watches this channel and nerds out on this stuff a lot more. You are at the far end of that bell curve of skill. Like you're in the 1% just by being here and carrying daily. So do not think that they are you. Do not think that they could ever be you. Right? Not judgmental. We're not assuming these people suck. We are assuming the safest thing to assume of all people is that they are lazy. Right? Safe assumption. Okay, so we're assuming this person is lazy. A lot of you are like, well, is that real though? Well, let's think about this. The majority of people in the US are not gun owners. Okay? The majority of gun owners in the US have not taken any formal training ever. Ever. A whole lot of gun owners in the US, even ones who bought a gun to defend themselves with, have never shot that gun ever. A lot of concealed carriers, the majority of concealed carriers in the US, have taken a single class and will take a single class ever. The one that they had to take to get the permit, and they're never going to train formally again. The majority of people who go shooting, I see you at the range. You are not training, you are pewing, shooting and wasting money. There's no drills, there's no structure, there's no measure of performance. It's just loud noises making yourself feel good about the object that you bought that you think will save you. And that's okay, right? Say it with me. That is okay. I know the firearms community, the specialists, all the people who are way into it, the nerds, we tend to draw this line and say only after this point is it okay. I am here to tell you that that binary distinction of what is enough and what is not enough is silly, and it is harmful to the messaging that we should be sending. The message we should be sending is that no matter how much or how little you want to try, you were born with the right to self-defense, and you should exercise it. And any attempt that you take at exercising that right, any attempt that you take at being responsible for your own safety, no matter how feeble it is, I will support you in that, and I will help you do better. I'm going to help that person, that extremely lazy person that is likely to never take a class, that is likely to never seek any other information other than this conversation and going to have a conversation with a gun store owner. I'm going to take them seriously, and I'm going to do my best to get them the solution that is best for them, right? Be really careful about this when you're talking to these people. Don't recommend the stuff that you carry. Even if they ask you what you carry, do not recommend it, right? Hey man, so like, what do you carry? Well, it doesn't really matter because I am more than an enthusiast in this. I do this as my profession, and the equipment that I carry is a set of equipment that requires a significant lifestyle change. I think most people are not willing to make that lifestyle change, so the gear that I have probably isn't the right fit for you. But here it is, blah, 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 blah. That's the only way that I'm going to drop the stuff that I carry. After that is settled, then you can say, all right, well, let's talk about what your needs are. Like what you are thinking about getting a gun because something scared you. So you're going to carry this gun, presumably? Well, sometimes I think, when I go to scary places, I might carry a gun in some of the sketchy areas. This is not the time to jump in with a lecture about self-defense. I know all of you defense nerds out there are thinking, oh God, if you are so worried about this place, you wouldn't go there without a gun. You probably shouldn't go there. And I agree with you. We know this. But that's not the messaging that they're ready to hear. And telling them just don't go to scary places is also a great way to just lose your audience, be ignored. I'm just going to personally throw it out there. I like going to some of these sketchy places, right? None of us would ever go to a bar ever if we were truly embracing this whole lifestyle of never be in danger, right? Also, you would probably take public transportation all the time and never drive your own car. And all of these ridiculous things. We take risks. Understand they're going to take risks too. We can't lecture them about lifestyle at this point. They're just wanting a recommendation for gear. Typically, that's all they want is drop some name of something that I can go buy that will make me feel good about checking the box of self-defense. Okay, so let's start at that lowest level. Well, so you're planning on carrying this. Sometimes in the scary places, depending on where you are, you'll probably have to get a concealed carry permit. That's going to be some hoops you have to jump through and some classes you have to take. I can do that. I can show you. But even without taking a single class, you could just carry some pepper spray. It works great and it's super cheap. That should be your first go-to. They want to ask, well, pepper spray? I mean, that's like, I'm a grown-ass man. I don't need pepper spray. I just, if we're going to get in a fist fight, I'm like, you need to have a follow-up conversation with them. You will say, I don't know, man. I think pepper spray checks the box for self-defense use more often than a gun does. If you carry pepper spray, you have a lot of the capabilities that a firearm offers with none of the drawbacks and scariness and liability of carrying lethal force. I'm not saying don't get a gun, but I'm saying if you're thinking about taking this lifestyle change into being responsible for your own self-defense, maybe ease into it with something that's cheap and easy. and simple to carry. This would be a great time to show them a palm unit, show them how easily it fits in your pocket, and tell them this. This is what I believe. If I were to actually carry a gun, I would always be carrying something like pepper spray or at minimum a very bright flashlight in addition to that. I don't just want the option to do nothing or to kill someone. I don't just want zero force or lethal force. I want something in between. Start there. And if that works for you, then maybe think about getting a gun. Almost always you're going to hear, oh, well, but like I'm pretty sure that I want a gun. You want a gun, you're going to carry sometimes. You might get a concealed carry permit. You might not need it, but you want it to be simple, right? Well, yeah, something that I could keep on me. Okay, well, if you want to keep it on you, then 100% it has to be a very small gun. And the smaller the gun, the more times you could carry it. Oh, well, do those work? Absolutely they work. They work just as well as bigger guns. They just carry fewer rounds, generally. And this is how the conversation should go. Just basic Q&A, not going too in-depth. Do not have the terminal ballistics talk. Really try and push them towards the simplest thing. When I say the simplest thing, I want you to keep in mind that the person we're talking to is one of these average people, one of these lazy people, right? They may prove to be more than that later, but right now at this conversation, at this time, we're going to assume that they are the laziest person ever. I want you to think about this thought exercise. Instead of engaging with this person as someone who you want to someday become you, which is a fault that most of us have, instead of trying to think of them in that light, think of this. You are making a recommendation to everyone on the planet. Let's just say the US, right? Do this little thought exercise with me. What if tomorrow all of the politics were reversed, turned on their head, and all of a sudden it was illegal to leave your house without carrying some sort of firearm? Stay with me here. What kind of gun would you want the idiots that are around you carrying? Don't think of the person who is responsible and going to follow up. Think of the lazy douchebag who is going to do almost nothing, who is generally a liability. What gun do you want them carrying? Okay? That gun is a better recommendation to the stranger than the gun you are carrying. If they're the same, then good for you. But most of the time when I have people do this thought exercise, they are two very different guns, right? People will say, oh, I carry a dotted SIG 365 with trigger work done. Do you want drunky, shaky, negligent 85-year-old neighbor Joe carrying a SIG 365 with an optic and trigger work? I don't think so. So maybe dial it back a little bit. I'll tell you what my choice is. I know that they have to carry it, and I want them to comply with the law. I want them to carry it. Everyone. So it's got to be something truly small. And I know that they're going to carry it in the most negligent, awful, dumbass kinds of ways. So let's not assume they're going to do anything but like shove this in their waistband or shove it without a holster in a pocket. Okay? I want them to be able to train with that gun, and I want them to be able to have the best chance at hitting what they're aiming at without any training. All right, so there's some conflicting things here, because if I want them to be able to shove it in their belt line or their pocket without a holster, I probably want them to have a very long, very heavy trigger on that gun. That trumps every other need. I want them to have a gun that has a long, heavy trigger so that they can't negligently discharge and hurt me or people that I care about. But I also want them, if they do take it seriously, I want them to be able to shoot it cheaply. I want them to be able to shoot it easily. Well, that means it's probably going to be a small caliber, like the smallest that you can get. In my mind, that's fine with me. For this, everyone has to carry exercise. This is either going to be like very light loaded 38 special, or very light loaded like powder puff or mouse fart 9mm, but probably not even that. 380 is maybe in there. Some of the small like 25 auto, all of those are in there. But if I had to pick my favorite two, it would be something like 32 long or 32 H&R, something like that, or 22 long rifle. And if I want them to have a chance at actually shooting it, finding ammo easily, and being able to afford it on like poverty dumbass budget, it's probably going to be 22. Okay, so we've got a long triggered, heavy triggered 22 that is the smallest that we can get. That leaves very few guns out there. And then I'll just say this, if we're arming everyone, truly everyone, I want the manual of arms on this gun to be as simple as possible. Something that they don't have to practice on, something that's just stupid simple. That you could do, that you could train someone on in a 5-minute conversation. Okay, well, so it's going to be no surprises here if you guys have watched the channel. It's going to be something like this, double action only, hammerless, 22 LR revolver. That checks all of the boxes. The other contenders there are maybe something like the LCP 22 light rack, or some of the real old guns, like real old, like early 1900s little pocket pistols. But most of those fall out of favor because, number one, you can't find them. Number two, they're chambered in stuff that is impossible to find. And number three, they kind of suck and they don't work. So yeah, I'll think about that. And then I'll say a lot of those points, say, hey, how lazy do you want to be? Do you want to have something that is just easy, that you can you shouldn't, but you could just put it in a pocket and be better than nothing else, right? Or than everything else. I have that conversation. Yeah, maybe something that you could carry in multiple different ways, carry in a jacket pocket, carry in a jeans pocket, carry in a small holster on the waistband, put it in a bag if you needed to. Maybe that's where you should start. And maybe you should start there and see the things that you want before moving on to something else. And that's the conversation that I have, guys. I talk about this a lot. I have this conversation with all these randos a lot because of the channel, but I also have these conversations a lot because I do concealed carry classes, and I teach free concealed carry classes, deliberately opening those up to the masses, to demographics that otherwise wouldn't have a shot at that training. And I see overwhelmingly most people are, they know they want a gun. They don't understand the complexities in carry, in training and maintenance of skill that makes that object useful. But I think that it's worthwhile to help them out to get something. And if they end up being the person that puts it in the drawer and never looks at it again, well, I will have recommended the safest possible gun for that. If they end up being the person that carries it occasionally that just shoves it in a jacket pocket, well, I will have recommended the safest, most useful gun for that. And if they end up being a enthusiast nerd that ends up just getting way into training, then becomes one of us, well, I think I've recommended the best gun for that too. They're starting with something cheap to own and operate, and they can afford a lot more in the training realm because of that. So I've done other videos touching on that, but not specifically from addressing how we should talk to people. Yeah, you got that person in your life, just to reiterate, turn them on to Palm. Turn them on to a pepper spray unit. Palm or Saber are the two brands that I think are the best, with the flip top. That does a lot. And then if they want to go the gun route, get them something like a 22 snub hammerless. And oh, when they ask about this, get their phone number and text them a link to go get this thing. If nothing else, they might click it and look at it. And when they look at it, at least they have a picture to show the gun store guy that they'll inevitably end up in front of. But if you are not going to care enough to get their number and text them this information or send it to them some way that they have on their smartphone to go pursue this more, don't bother having the conversation, guys, because nobody gives a shit. Nobody remembers half of the stuff that you say 5 minutes after you say it. So the text is forever. Minimum, do that, right? Text them, and then maybe they'll remember, oh yeah, these are the reasons why he said this is the best way to go. Guys, have these conversations. Remember that any person who is getting into this community, the defense community and the gun community, even a little bit, is better than one that you have pissed off and completely ruined to the self-defense conversation by trying to push your politics or trying to push your hardcore extremist, like tail-end enthusiast's view of how carry should be, right? Don't go binary with this stuff. All right, guys. If you have any more to add to this, if you've got any ideas, if you think this is wrong or I missed something, throw it in the comments, let me know. Let's talk about it. And I hope you guys have some happy holidays. Keep training, stay safe.